Today is Election Day here in New York City, where New Yorkers will cast their votes in the Democratic primary for mayor. Joining us right now is Kathryn Wylde, a Partnership for New York City president and CEO. Good morning to you. We've been talking about how there is, dare I say, like a little bit of a panic attack happening, I think, in the business community about how close to the wire, down to the wire this is going. I think that the business community was hoping for Cuomo to win, and now this avowed socialist is, at least from Polymarket and Kalshi and some of these other polls and things, either very close or in some case winning. What's going on inside the minds of the CEOs that work with you?
Well, I think they've noticed there's a race, and they're not terribly happy with the direction it's going. That would be correct. Is
that the polite way to put it?
Probably so, but terror would be perhaps more accurate.
Terror is the feeling?
Terror is the feeling, in the sense that, we have worked so hard over many years to bring New York back from 9/11, from past crises, from the COVID, in particular in the last 5 years. And honestly, New York is in much better shape than the political rhetoric would have you believe. We've got $1 trillion economy. We've got more jobs than we've ever had, 4.8 million. I mean, we are not falling apart. We've got a strong tax base, stronger than ever. So there's much, there's much positive in New York, but that could quickly shift if we lose confidence in the mayor and if we don't find practical solutions to the problems ahead. And unfortunately, the candidate who's surging, Zohran Mamdani, presents an ideological argument about the solution to every problem is to spend more money, and it's more taxpayer money. So, the business community is very concerned.
And therefore, doing what about it? Meaning, is there, what we don't know, and I haven't heard, is the business community, leading drives to push employees to go vote today, to do all sorts of things? By the way, he's come on so strong, frankly, in the last 72 hours, that I don't know if anybody was actually mobilized before this.
Now, the business community doesn't, nobody wants to, especially these days, play in partisan politics in a public way. They've got customers on all sides. They've got employees on all sides. We have a very young workforce in New York City, so you can only imagine that getting out the vote among the youth of the city has been very good for Zohran Mamdani. So, there's an issue there.
So you think he might do it, but then you don't think he's the eventual mayor?
I don't. I think that I think people will come to their senses. I think that,
and not Cuomo, though. You think?
But would Cuomo run as an independent?
You think Eric? I like Eric Adams too. That would be an amazing.
I would not count Eric Adams, Mayor Adams,
comeback.
out. I would not count him out. I think that, for one thing, he has showed humility and apologized, and I think that matters
to New Yorkers. The first-class upgrade? For that stuff, you mean?
For, well, no.
Or for appeasing the bad orange man. That's more of a problem for him than.
I think that, nobody likes to see the first mayor in history to be indicted. For whether
he was indicted because
legitimate reasons,
because he got off the reservation on immigration. Those were ridiculous charges.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you that that the mayor, I think, has a shot to come back.
That'd be amazing.
I think that
more than Cuomo.
Well, the city again is being painted as being in terrible shape, and it's not in terrible shape. I mean, the big challenges we face right now are basically coming from the federal government. The threats of cuts in food stamps, in housing vouchers. In general, the fiscal challenges we're facing are coming from the federal government. Our economy is healthy.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen if Mamdani did take over? Where would you see the city a year from now, 2 years from now?
Well, the truth is, New York City is very much subservient to Albany, to our state government. We have, constitutionally, we have a very strong state government. We've got a governor who is moderate and thoughtful and has shown that she is tough. So I have no doubt that the worst is not going to happen. Whoever we elect in as mayor, it's not going to be a disaster because we have a state government that is going to avoid that.
So When you see, I want to know about the supermarkets. Can we just talk about the supermarkets?
I think you're crazy. They're not putting anyone out of business. Government-run supermarkets aren't putting anyone out of business. They're not going to have anything on the shelves.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is between what he's doing with that, he's very popular, and I just wonder whether you think that. And I'm trying to figure out
Giving everything away.
I'm not.
The candidate who promises the most giveaways wins.
Exactly.
Then
I agree, but what I'm trying to figure out is the business community in New York City is not beloved necessarily. I mean, some are and some aren't.
Speak for yourself.
No, I'm just saying that I'm saying as a population in terms of the politics of dealing. If you're a business leader and you don't like this, the question is what do you do about it? And the question is, you have Cuomo, you have a couple of these other candidates. They're all so whatever happens today, there's going to be a whole other race because Cuomo, if he loses today, will end up being an independent, and then you'll have everybody in these different parties. And do you see a whole slug of money coming into this race? I mean, I'm curious what you said. The business community doesn't want to get involved in politics. But
they might hear.
My question is whether they ultimately will.
Perhaps. I mean, for one thing, a lot of the money has come from the Jewish community, which is probably more concerned than anybody. We've had a rise in anti-Semitism since October 7th. And Mamdani has not been effective in communicating.
Here's the picture on the coast. He's out one of the Gaza. I think that's a Gaza one, isn't it? It's an intifada, global intifada protest.
And it's very insensitive.
He's there on the microphone, egging them on.
Yeah. No, it's so I think that that you're correct. The policies that Mamdani is advocating respond to the fact that we have become the most expensive city in America, both the cost of living and the cost of doing business. And everybody knows that this is a direction that's not sustainable, that we have to figure out how to reduce costs. You do not reduce costs by raising taxes. That just adds to costs. It's all passed through.
New York isn't the place where people point. It's Chicago. Is it where they're really?
Well, you saw the Chicago Tribune yesterday's editorial telling us be careful what you wish for in terms of electing a socialist mayor.
Kathy, I think the question was brought up how this was all going to be paid for, and he suggested, Mamdani, that you raise taxes. You had a good response to that.
Well, the response is that we already have the highest taxes in the country, and if we raise taxes further, we're asking for trouble. You had Mike Lawler on here earlier talking about the state and local tax deduction. In 2018, we lost the ability to deduct state and local taxes. That changed the game. When we talk about why people gravitated out of the city, high earners, we've lost more than half our high earners. Now live outside New York.
I was trying to look at what is the delta. Okay, so the highest tax rate with federal and everything baked in with the city and the state is what? So if you're at the highest end, W-2.
For earned income, 60%.
You're at 60%.
Of your income is going to taxes if you live in New York.
And the delta between the 60% number and let's call it Florida or Texas or name some.
30 points.
Well, it can't be 30 points because
pretty close.
Well,
37
state in New York City.
Pretty close.
But the highest federal number is what? 37.
Yeah, but it's on marginal on that.
Right. You're saying at the end.
Yeah, a lot of this is capital gains and stuff like that. It's for the high earners, it's a different equation. But the point is that the differential is substantial. You take home. I've seen the numbers, and it's something like if you earn $200,000, you take home $100,000, almost more in Florida than you do here.